Hi there. Welcome to my channel. My name is Jen and I'm glad you're here. Today I'm doing some gel printing on my jelly plate here. It's an 8x10 jelly plate and it's actually just mounted to a piece of plexiglass to hold it still. So here I am putting on a light layer of this turquoise paint. This is a turquoise color from Winsor & Newton Galleria. It's acrylic. So I'm rolling on a nice thin layer and I'm going to place my masks right in there. So this is Funky Flower 31. That second one I put down is Funky Flower 32. And that third one there is Funky Flower 29. Looks like I'm going to print right over a pre-printed paper, which should give some interesting results. All of these masks are my own design. I will put a link in the description below. Pulling up the print. Nice, that's a nice fun print. You can see on the plate where there's places where the paint on the first layer of the print has actually resisted the turquoise layer. So that's going to show up in this print. This is medical paper here when I'm printing on. Pulling up the print. Nice. So a lot of these prints on medical paper and on wet strength tissue are collage materials, so I'll be using them in my mixed media artworks as well as in my journals. Okay, next pull, I'm going to use the same color. Roll it out nice and thin again. Such a luscious color, this one. It's one of my favorites. Oops, something in there. Pull that out. Okay, so we're using the same one. That's Funky Flower 31. That's Funky Flower 32. And the last one there is Funky Flower 53, I believe. So not quite the same ones, but close. Giving it a nice rub with my hands, making sure I get in all those crevices. And pulling up the print. I like this color combo a lot. So if you want to try this out without making a purchase, I have a free stencil. You can find the link below. So you can download that, import the files to your cutting software, and then you can cut it on your Silhouette machine or your Cricut machine, depending on what you have. Okay, pulling the print. Looks like the paint was still pretty dry. I got a print of those 3 flowers, but there's a lot of residue left on the plate. So I think the next print will probably be a pickup layer. This is, I think it's pale lavender or pale light blue, also from the Galleria acrylics. They have some nice light colors that I really like. I happened across them because I went to my usual, or I went to an art supply store that wasn't my usual one, and they didn't have my usual brand, so I picked up a few of those instead. They're nice, but I think I tend to stick to Liquitex Basics because I know how it works. This is tea bag paper. I can tell because of the vertical lines on the back. Smoother on the front side. It's also a really lightweight paper that's great for collage. So got a good print there. Again with that turquoise color. Okay, picking out some new flowers. Let's see what I got here. These are all my own designs. So they are available as SVG files. So if you have a cutting machine such as a Silhouette or a Cricut machine, you can actually download the files and cut your own. So I just use poly binder dividers, which I get from the dollar store for this because it's cheap and easy, and they seem to hold up really well for stencils. So you can find the links to all of the stencils I use in this video in the description below. All right, looks like I can't make up my mind, and might have been sorting them out a little bit there. All right, rolling out the next coat. Oops, oops. Okay, so this one is Funky Flower 50. That one is Funky Flower 34. And then I'm using a texture plate that I'd made with some hot glue just on a piece of cardboard, just to make some texture in the outside edge there. You can sort of see it in the side of the screen there. Printing over top of a pre-printed page. When I pick pre-printed pages to print over, I'm generally more concerned about the color than anything else on it. The designs tend to kind of blend into one another sometimes, but the color is pretty important to get that right. If the colors aren't right and the colors don't work, then it won't work for anything. So nice print there. That texture makes it. Okay, pulling off the masks. And more medical exam table paper. I buy this in a roll. It's pretty cheap. I think I get it from Amazon. And I just cut it down to gel plate size before I use it, because that way I'm not fighting with the roll of paper. Nice clean prints. Those will be great in my journals. Okay, same color again. I really like that color. The other fun part about using the same color a few times in a row is that you don't have to clean your brayer. You don't often see me cleaning my brayer because I actually cut those parts out because it's off camera and it's really not all that exciting. So you can imagine. All right, Funky Flower 50 again. And I think that's the same one as well. That's 34. And then this one is 29. Funky Flower 29 on the bottom there. And that same texture plate. Those are so easy and fun to make, and you can use them forever. They last forever, and I don't even bother washing them. I just let the paint dry right on there because it doesn't hurt anything. Okay, printing on a yellow page. Let's see what happens here. Yeah, okay, kind of bright, kind of yellow. I like it. You never really know what you're going to get with gel printing, so the element of surprise is always interesting. Oops, straightening out that paper. All right, here we go, another set. The thing about cutting your own stencils too is with the digital files, you can actually, well, first of all, you can resize as big or small as you like, depending on the stencil design, of course. But you can also decide what kind of material you want to cut it out of. I cut them out of poly binder dividers just because that's easy and cheap. You could also use Mylar, Tyvek, even cardstock would work for this, depending on what you have at hand. Okay, tea bag paper for the pickup print. This is also another lightweight paper that's great for collage. I can tell because of the stripes in the paper what kind it is. Okay, that's fairly subtle. Be good for some texture somewhere though.